Hi, this is Kelly from Pataka Kelly and Play Learn Talk, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the multi-choice container to create games that have randomized answers, okay? So if you are new to creating and you're new to this channel, welcome. I post daily videos on how to create boom cards and other game-based learning activities for your students and for the students of others. So make sure to subscribe if you'd like to be notified of future videos. I post daily, like I said, and you can hit the little bell notification and you will be reminded as soon as I post, okay? That way you won't miss anything. All right, so we're going to be using this feature. Today I'm going to demonstrate a card to you that I'm actually in the process of creating, and I will show you how to recreate the card that I'm going to show you in just a moment. And then all week long, I'm actually going to focus in on this exact feature so that we can see how we can use it in different ways in different types of games, all right? So by the end of the week, you should feel super confident in how to use this tool. If this is something you've been wanting to learn how to use, leave a comment below and make sure you ask me your question, and I will be sure to address it in my future videos this week. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out the card. So this is what it looks like in the Boom workstation, okay? So this is an emotion activity. This is for a speech therapy game, okay? And I have 3 vocabulary words that are identified here. Now, I'm going to point out here we have scared first, then confused, then angry, but when we go to preview, scared is probably going to be in a different order. So it is, so it's actually randomized. Now, this is really useful for your teachers who are going to be using this and assigning this for homework and want to be able to measure the data on how the student is doing. Okay, so because it's randomized, the student is not going to learn just where it is, but they're going to learn how to actually match that vocab word. All right, so let me point out the structure of the page, and then we will go into the Boom workstation together and actually create it there. So in most of my videos, I like to create in Keynote, but today I thought I'd do something a little different and actually create right on the Boom workstation to show you how to do it. So we have our title bar up at the top with our question. Okay, we have 3 animated GIFs. We have 3 drop zones that have different colors designating them. I did this to make it easier for my user when they are using this during remote learning or virtual learning. And by designating that color, it's going to make it easy for their student to tell the teacher or therapist where they should move the vocabulary term to. Okay, so always consider that, how you can make it easier for your students who are not just using this on the iPad or during homework, but actually in a session or an activity. So these are all draggable pieces, and we're also going to learn how to make these draggable items and these text box to use as carrier sentences. Okay, so let me go ahead and demonstrate the card to you. So here we have a girl. We can look at her body language, her facial expression. She looks scared, so let's do she is scared. Okay, and then we have she is confused, and we have he is angry. All right, so I have not designated these to have any type of accuracy because I want the user to have the freedom to create a sentence if they want to, or just to simply label the word. I want it to be really open-ended for them. Okay, so when someone hits submit, it's going to look like this. So it says whoops only because they have not, or we have not moved these items over, okay? But it just circled it in blue rather than giving it a red or a green circle. I'll point out that if you are using Boom cards and you're wondering like how do you turn off that whoops sound, you can come over to this icon here and click through. It says sound effects turned off, okay? Or all sounds off now, okay? And all sounds are back on. So let's go ahead and drag these cards over. We're going to put them in the incorrect area. Okay, and it pops out the ones that were incorrect, and that's exactly what we want to be able to do. Sorry, I have a little kitten right here who is trying to get my attention. Okay, so we're also going to learn how to make this click to the center or move to the center. Okay, I haven't programmed that in yet, so I'll do that with you guys. So let's go ahead and move this over to angry and this one over to scared, and we'll hit submit. And it gives us that positive feedback, okay? So let's go into the Boom workstation right now. All right, so we're gonna scroll down to the bottom, and let's go ahead and create a new page, add a new card. It is a blank card. So what we need to do now is grab a text box from the top. To access that, you're gonna click on it and then drag it over, okay? And we're gonna erase the text inside and drag it all the way across, okay? And let's move it up. Guys, my kitten is trying to eat my computer. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we're going to go to background and change the color to black. You can change it to any color you want using these tools here. I'm simply going to go with black. And then I'm going to grab another text box, drag it down, and this time I'm actually going to put in my text. So I want my question, how does each person feel? Question mark. So I'm going to double click the entire thing, go up to bold, and I'm going to change the font color here to white, okay? And then I'm going to grab it by this little tail and move it up. Okay, so I want to point out that right now you see how the blue line is really close to the text. Sometimes when your game is played on a smaller browser, like on a mobile device, your text might be too big for that box and it's actually going to distort it. So a way to prevent that is to actually drag this whole entire text box out like this. Okay, and then I'm going to double click again and center it. And that way, if someone has a smaller window, it's not going to distort all of the words, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I just recommend you do that from the beginning. You might also want to make it a little bit larger like that. Okay, should I make it like that? Okay, so that looks good. Okay, so now what we want to do is grab our multiple choice text box, and I'm just going to demonstrate to you the different container properties. So right now it is set in the grid type with the option for 10 different columns, okay? So if you stretch it out like this, it's going to adjust the size of everything, okay? See how everything changes like that, fits into the grid. Okay, so in order to get that option, you want to click on this little tail here, and then all of a sudden it'll show you container properties. So you can do grid type, you can do a flow type, and flow is basically going to do this. So it flows with you as you're moving it. Okay. But I like the grid type. We also have fixed. Okay. And that gives you a little bit more space there. Okay, so let's do grid. And I only want to have 3 answers. So I'm going to click on this one right here and I am going to delete it. Okay. And then I want to actually just resize it. So I'm going to move this over here like that. And what I need to do now is actually change the columns. Okay, so I want to change it to 3 so that there's 3 columns. Okay, and then I'm going to size it down. Okay, like that. Okay, so now I want to change the background color and I want it to match my border right here. Okay, so I'm going to click on the actual image itself and I can see background here and I can change the color to black. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I want to select all of these items and I actually don't want them to be correct or wrong. I want them to be draggable, so I'm going to hit draggable. Okay, so then I'm going to come over to border and I want to change the style of the border. Right now they have a solid line border. I want them to have a dashed border. And I want the width to be a little bit more prominent, so I'm going to change it to 4. And you notice it gets bigger, okay? Now you also have the option, I've just learned recently, to change the radius. And what that means is that you can change it into a curved or circular button by hitting the up arrow, okay? Or you can make it more square by reducing the radius. Okay, so I don't remember what it was at. So we'll just leave it like this. It'll be a little different than our original version. Okay, so actually, let me change it back. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and grab these because I want to show you something else. Oh, they're already linked. Okay, never mind, you guys. Okay, so basically we'll just use these. Okay, so we're going to make them a little bit more rounded. Like that, okay. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to grab a button and I'm gonna use this to actually create our drop zones. I want it to look like it belongs together by having those rounded edges. So I'm gonna delete the text because we don't actually need that. I am gonna keep the border that's there, but I wanna basically match it to these so that it looks about the same size, okay? And now I can also adjust the radius on these. So actually, here we go. So we're gonna check what the radius is here. This says it's 17, so I can now click on this one and actually match it so it's the same. Okay, so I'll make the radius 17. I think it just disappeared. Of course it did. Okay, so here's the button, and we're gonna change the radius to, I'm not sure why it's doing that, you guys. Okay, Change the radius to 17. I guess you have to adjust it by the little arrows. Okay, so we're going to delete the text inside, and we want to actually match it to the size of these buttons. Now, I'm going to point out when I do this now, you notice it goes behind, and we cannot see if it matches or not. So that is because these are draggable. So we need to make this one temporarily draggable. All right, so we're going to size it out and put it here. Okay. Now I'm just doing it by eye, but if you wanted to get the exact dimensions of this, you can come over to size and rotate, and you can see that the width of this is 213 by 114. So if you wanted to be exact, we can come over here and do 213 by 114, and that's the exact size of it, okay? So that's if you want to be exact. So let's go ahead and put this just a little bit above these items, okay? And now I'm going to make it a drop zone. Okay, and I did that by coming over to drag and drop options and just changing which one was clicked. So now I'm going to do Command C, Command V to duplicate this item. I need to click on that little tail, Command C, Command V, and it's going to duplicate it. Another way you can do that is by clicking on the item, making sure that boost square is there, and then you're going to come over here to duplicate. Okay, but I find the shortcut, keyboard shortcut, much faster. Okay, so let's say as we're pulling them out, you know, they're not exactly aligned, so we want to adjust the alignment, okay? So whatever item you click first is the one that the other items are going to align to. So we're going to click this one first, and then come over to Align and put Top Alignment. Now they're all in alignment, okay? It looks like they can be a little bit more centered, so I'm going to click all of them and use my arrow key to tab them over, okay? And those look good to me. So now what we want to do is actually give them a color. I'm going to give this one red. Give it any color you want. That's actually the border. Let me go to background. Okay, so we have red, and then we have yellow, and then we have blue. Okay, now we're going to grab our images. So let's grab our animated GIFs. I'm going to grab this girl here, and I'm going to size her down. It gets a little complicated because we do have a lot on the page, and that's actually why I prefer to create in Keynote instead of in the workstation, because it just makes it a little bit easier to maneuver around. Okay. But this is definitely a great workstation to be working in if you if this is your option, okay? So here we have the girl. I like the sizing, okay? She's still within this little white area. Now I'm actually going to duplicate her, okay, and move it over. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to keep the same proportions for all my pictures, and I want to save myself time from having to resize each time, okay? So I can also align all of them again, okay? So we're going to hit Align, and that looks good so far. All right, so now we just need to change the image. I'm going to double click and just choose a different character. Okay, so these are in a little bit different order than we had the first time. That's totally fine. Now the other thing that we need is we need to have a fill in the blank text box, and that's going to be layered on top of each of these. So let's go ahead and grab that. We click on it and drag it out. Okay, and I want to change the background color to white, and you could give this a border as well if you wanted to. But we're not going to do that, okay? We're just going to make it a little bit larger and put it in the center, okay? Now, when you double click on it, you can change the properties. Now, I want to make it open response, and that means that it's basically going to be graded by the teacher, okay? And when I make this product available, I'm going to give in my instructions and let them know and say, you know, you can use this if you want to, but you don't have to, okay? So we'll put that there. Now I'm also going to duplicate that. And I'm going to duplicate it again. Okay, and once again, we're going to align all three of these. Okay, so my computer is going a little bit slow. It says computation too big. So it's not liking how many things I have on the page. Okay, so we're still going to power through, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to move this one over, and I'm going to move this one over. Okay, and now remember for the alignment, I'm going to find the one that I like the most. This one looks the most center, and I'm just going to click on it first, click on all of them, and then hit align. Okay, they're all aligned now. And let's see, now I just need to change the actual labels. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the answer. So I'm going to say that the girl right above is scared, and this boy is angry, and this girl is confused. Okay, now I could adjust each one individually regarding the font and the size. I'm simply going to click on all of them at one time by holding Command and clicking, and then I'm going to go to make them all bold, and I'm going to make them a little bit larger. Okay, let's see. Let's make them maybe 64. That's way too big, obviously. Let's do 36. And that looks good. Okay, so this one, I don't know what happened to my little drop zone. That's weird. Let's move it over. Okay, so now what we need to do for our very last step is actually assign our drop zone. So we're going to assign this scared over here, and then angry, we're going to go over here, and confused over here. All right, so our card is ready to see. Okay, now I'm actually going to duplicate it just to have some extra ones. Okay, and we're going to go to preview. And let's go ahead and try it out. So we have all of our characters here. We have our typable text box. We have she is scared. Okay, we're gonna drag this over to scared. Oh, the last thing I was gonna show you. Let me do that. Okay, so we want them to actually snap to the center. So I'm gonna click on all of our drop zones and come over and say snap to center. Okay, and so when you go to preview, now instead of it being kind of like here, it's going to be snapping to the center and looking nice. Okay. Actually, it is not doing that. Let's see why it's not doing that. Snap to center. Let's see. Okay, I'm actually going to make them not drop zones. Okay, and I'm going to remake them drop zones. Drop zone and snap to center. Okay, and then I'm going to do scared to this one, angry to this one, and confused to this one. Okay, let's preview it and see. All right, so let's put scared over here. Oh, guys, it's still not snapping to the center. I don't know why. That's interesting. Okay, well, like I said, I'm going to be doing tutorials all week long, so we will go ahead and figure out what's happening there. But I'm going to go ahead and post this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that it was useful for you. If you did find it useful, please give it a like and share it with anyone else who would also find it useful. And once again, make sure to subscribe and hit the little bell notification so you know when I post the very next tutorial. All right, guys, bye.